family and friends. Family and friends who you do not pay for their advisement, do not take the advice. Free advice from somebody is just opinions. It's not guided, it's not curated, and it's oftentimes where most entrepreneurs make mistakes. So how do you turn your business into an actual brand? Well, my name is Bijal Patel, and I've had 13 years of corporate experience working at big Fortune 500 companies, and I'm taking all of that juicy firsthand experience and have brought it into my company Launch. Within this podcast, you're going to learn about branding, vision, identity, mindset, and how to scale your business to the next level. So let's go ahead and own your brand. Let's talk about how to think through and make good decisions as a successful CEO. So I just hopped off a call with a current client of mine, and we were kind of walking through the concept. She's working within someone else's business, and she's about to go start her own, which is incredible. But some of what she's falling into the trap of is asking her husband and friends and family for all of their advice because they're so-called close to her. The difference maker in when you become a CEO is you start to realize over a period of time that you have been asking people because you're close to them rather than the fact that you're actually getting advice from the right advisors. So I learned this the hard way. When I started my business in 2019, I had been laid off from my job. I got fired abruptly. And within like a week of that, I ended up reconnecting with an old mentor of mine. Well, I really appreciated the fact that she had owned a business before. I had worked together for 4 years with her, and she actually had just got fired from her job too. So we were kind of in it, like licking our wounds together, but she was senior to me. She was somebody I had worked under. She had mentored me. She had bigger positions than I had had, and she had ran her own business. So I took a lot of business advice from her because I was too scared to do it on my own and I wasn't sure what to do. And now, like I would say close to 50 or 60% of her advice was good and correct. But the other 40% that I didn't realize is that because she had that narcissistic personality trait, even though she was advising me on things that made practical and tactical business sense, and even some of her strategy stuff was good, the piece I completely missed was that the energy behind her giving me the mentorship was really self-focused on her. What was best for her, what was best for her interests, and not on me. So it took me a while to realize that even though she had had clout and she had won a bunch of awards and she had had the successful company before, that oops, I'm getting advice from the wrong person. And then the other scenario that can happen is that you're ending up getting information and you're having talks, of course, with your spouse or your partner. But if your husband or your wife is not an actual entrepreneur, I am telling you this for one person who's listening to me right now. Listen, girlfriend, guy friend, they don't understand you. They do not. If they work a job, they have a career, and they can be amazing and successful in what they do. But if they are not truly an entrepreneur, and I don't mean they had a business back in the day for 6 months and they sold t-shirts online, okay? I'm not talking about a side hustle. If they're not an entrepreneur, they do not think like you. And a lot of times people are risk averse. This is not where you should be getting your advice from. So oftentimes you need to audit. Who are you listening to? Just because they say they're an expert at this or that, if they haven't taken the exact thing you want to do in your industry and have taken other people there in the thing that you're asking them on advice, you're not going to get good input because everyone is going to have an opinion. And then people say this, opinions are like assholes. Every single person has one. Okay. And here's the thing. Most people are not self-aware enough to say, I don't know, or I'm not the right person to ask. The sign of an excellent mentor or a coach or somebody advising you is I don't know, or I'm not the right person to ask. Here is a good person, or here is a good resource. Let me network you in so that you're getting the best information possible so that you're guided by this expert to make a good decision. And even with all that said and done, once you learn how to think like an entrepreneur, plan to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make poor investment decisions. You're going to hire the wrong team. You're going to show up and do the wrong thing. You're going to take on the wrong clients. Plan for this just like you did when we built this custom house. Because I had done commercial interior design for close to 13 years. I was used to going onto job sites, doing the drawings, working with the architects and the engineers and the trade people and the general contractors. I was fully aware that when we were getting closer to the end of the project, we would do this thing called a punch list. And a punch list is literally when you walk around the entire space and they give you this painter's blue tape and you literally put on the wall all the places there are mistakes. There are obviously, for like a big commercial project, if you're doing a building or something like that, you have multiple visits to the job site. So you're catching things early, just like we did with our house. The difference is that I knew like maybe the trim wasn't going to be perfect in all the areas. Maybe the way they cut the tile isn't going to be the way I wanted it to be. I know in our master shower that they literally did not understand what bookmarked marble meant. And I didn't understand how a contractor or a subcontractor could not understand the term book matched marble. Like it is a normal industry term. So it literally looks like it's like a book and it reflects. So the pattern of the marble here and the pattern of the marble there, it looks like it matches and it's symmetrical. These guys didn't understand that. They had to rip it out and they did it again. Hey, so quick pause. Have you gotten a big piece of value from any of the episodes so far? If you have, I would absolutely love if you could share this with someone else you think could benefit from this. A principle of mine is to give it forward because that like energy creates more like energy and it'll all come back to you in the form of karma. So just want to say thanks again for listening and let's get back to the show. Here's the point of that story though. If you have lowered expectations and you plan for 20% of it to not go the way that you expect it to, you're going to be so much better off mindset wise because you're not regressing and feeling grief and then feeling down and then you're worried and stressed about the money you lost or things didn't work out the way that you thought with this team member or that service provider or whatever. So planning for 20% of it to not work out is going to be amazing in terms of how you think and make decisions. Will you always make the right decision? Of course not. You know that, but it feels different when it actually happens. Do you have the trusted mentor, the guide, the Sherpa, the expert in your corner who's going to know you, know your vision, the unique constraints of your business, and be able to rally behind you? So the best way to learn how to think better is to get around people who think better than you do and literally ask them, hey, so how would you think about this kind of scenario? And that is a very different question. Hey, so I'm having so-and-so. This is kind of the issue that I'm seeing in my business right now. Instead of asking them, what would you do about it? Which is, here's my problem. Tell me what the solution is. I invite you to say, hey, here is my problem. How would you go about thinking about this problem if it were in your business? That is going to be the difference between you learning how to think or you just being reactive to anything you learn from the next Joe Schmo who shows up and is in your arena or around you. The other piece is, let's just talk about it, family and friends. Family and friends who you do not pay for their advisement, do not take the advice. Free advice from somebody is just opinions. It's not guided, it's not curated, and it's oftentimes where most entrepreneurs make mistakes. What you want to do instead is if you want to run something by someone, earmark it. For example, I'm not the person to get nutrition advice from. That's just not my jam, okay? I like cake, I like cookies, like that's not my area. But if you want to have brand decisions or you want to know about your name or where you should do, what you should do with your strategy or, hey, does my branding and logo and colors does it actually represent me? I'm your person, right? Somebody might be amazing for mindset. Somebody else you know is great for finances. Somebody else you talk to is about marketing. Somebody else is about the strategy of the overall business. Someone else talks to you about sales. All of the different pieces, you want to segment them into what I call my board of advisors. So I literally have a board of advisors. I have multiple mentors. They are paid. A mentor who you don't pay is just doing a free service for you. And I don't know how you've been in your life. And if I know for myself, I can say every time I don't pay for something, the value that I put into it is extremely minimal. It's literally, I feel no skin in the game. And then what gets reciprocated back to me I don't get the best from that person. So I will not do trades with anybody. I won't be like, oh, hey, will you help me set up my sales team and I'll do your website for free? Nope. I will never do that. Because the 2 times that I did that in 2020, it was like a horrible exchange. And then you end up losing the relationship with that person because both people end up not satisfied. So if you want to avoid making mistakes and you want to learn how to think better and you want to get ahead in your business, you must pay for mentorship. And this is coming from me at this point, end of 2023. I've been in business close to 5 years. I personally have invested in over $300K of coaches, mentors, different people focused on different areas of my business and even coaching me personally. Like, what about my biohacking? What about my lifestyle? What about my health? What about my relationship with my kids? I've gone so far as everything related to me and my business, I've invested over $300K. So the success you see of, hey, how have you done that? How have you had the year over year growth you've had? Well, I paid people so I could learn how to think better. And then my identity shifted from owning a business to literally being a CEO. And that's the difference maker.